Professor John Lorber, a British neurologist at the University of Sheffield in the United Kingdom, claims that some patients are more normal than would be expected from their brain scan results. The scans were done with children or adults that were discovered to have hydrocephalus, also translated from Greek to mean waterhead, which is a condition in which the head is mostly filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which is very similar to water. In many cases, this condition can be debilitating or fatal, but in others, even extreme cases, it has no effect. The most extreme cases are far worse than any of the CAT scans shown in this video. Dr. Lorber recalled the time in the 1970s when a campus doctor asked him to examine a student whose head was a bit larger than normal. Instead of the normal 4.5 centimeter thickness of brain tissue between the ventricles and the cortical surface, Lorber discovered that the student only had a thin film of mantle measuring about a millimeter, and his cranium was filled mainly with cerebrospinal fluid. Oddly enough, the student was a math major from the University of Sheffield and had an IQ of 126 and graduated with honors. Dr. Lorber collected research data concerning several hundred people who functioned quite well with practically no brains at all. Upon careful examination, he described some of the subjects as having no detectable brains. Stranger yet is that half the patients missing 95% or more of their brains had IQs of 100 or above. Dr. Patrick Wall, professor of anatomy at University College in London, stated that there existed scores of people existing without discernible brains. The importance of Lorber's work, Dr. Wall said, was that he had conducted a long series of systematic brain scans rather than simply collecting anecdotal material. David Bauer, professor of neurophysiology at Liverpool University, England, stated that although Dr. Lorber's research did not indicate that the brain was unnecessary, it did demonstrate that the brain could work in conditions that conventional medical science would have thought impossible. In all known cases where the patients function without problems, the brainstem, spinal cord, and pineal gland are intact. This might not be coincidence, since many forward-thinking researchers consider the pineal gland the most important gland in the brain, which also matches ancient wisdom teachings that identify the pineal gland as the seat of the soul. But how can a person be missing up to 95% of their normal brain mass, not only in some cases live a normal functional life, but in rare cases test with IQs much higher than normal? One of the few biologists to propose a radical novel approach to these questions is Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. In his book, A New Science of Life, Sheldrake rejected the idea that the brain is a warehouse for memories and suggested it is more like a radio receiver for tuning into the past. Memory is not a recording process in which cells are altered to store records, but a journey that the mind makes into the past via a process of morphic resonance. Dr. Sheldrake goes on to say that a radio receiver type brain would require far fewer and less complex structures than a warehouse capable of storing and retrieving a lifetime of data. This information also dovetails very well with the first video in this video series, which provides evidence that DNA must have originated from another dimension, which could be called a quantum realm, etheric realm, astral realm, or heavenly realm. What if the answer to the question of how a person can function without most of their brain is that the command and control mechanism, often referred to as our soul or our spirit, resides in this other realm and can remotely operate its assigned physical body because of two enabling factors? The first factor is the requirement to have an interdimensional communication object. In this case, the object is known as the biological pineal gland. The second factor is to have a matching key code to access your assigned specific body vehicle. This key code could be thought of as a specific part of the DNA sequence or the DNA pattern. The exception to this requirement would be if the owner of a physical body vehicle allows temporary control of their body to another non-physical intelligence. This could be viewed as what psychic mediums do, and in other cases you have negative intelligences that attempt to hotwire and steal body vehicles for their own purposes, which would be known as possession in religious terms. Between the previous evidence presented on the non-physical origins of DNA, universal quantum entanglement via the Big Bang, and this new information on the mysterious functions of the brain. We are well on our way to proving through scientific evidence a great many things, with one of those things being that life continues after death. It appears more and more that the memories stored in the physical brain are those considered by the conscious mind to be important or related to survival, but every single experience is stored in a non-physical realm, which is why someone can be hypnotized and gain access to any obscure, non-important memory even from early childhood. Scientists and researchers have written much about this already, so we will not attempt to relay the vast amounts of evidence on the topic of hypnosis. It also appears that the evidence demonstrates higher consciousness does not reside in the brain, and this is why in some cases people can still be very intelligent even while missing 95% of their brain matter. Instead, higher level mental functions are reliant upon how clear the signal is being received by the physical body being transmitted by the non-physical self. However, damage to the brain can and does have an impact on control over the body and access to memories that are separately stored in the physical body. But again, those same memories can also be accessed through hypnosis, assuming the brain still functions enough for hypnosis to work. Evidence also shows that if a person suffers from brain damage, their true self that resides in a non-physical realm is not going to be affected, but the functioning of their physical self would be affected, since the signals from their higher non-physical self is not properly being received and interpreted by their physical body. Subscribe to this channel for free, and tune in tomorrow for more Daily Strange news. Don't forget to support our sponsors or make a donation. Take care, and God bless.